Minnesota Fighting Vikings superstar wide receiver Justin frickin' Jefferson and former Philadelphia Eagles, now Vikings wide receiver Jalen Reagor are forever going to be linked due to the 2020 NFL Draft. Of course, Justin Jefferson, the fifth wide receiver taken that year, right after the Eagles took Jalen Reagor at number 21, and the wide receivers ahead of Justin Jefferson, maybe not so much. I mean, CD is fine. I think that he does need a guy like Amari Cooper on the outside, but it sort of is what it is. But the Raiders and the Broncos and the Cowboys, they don't get as much flack as the Eagles did and Jalen Reagor did because of proximity, right? The pick before Justin Jefferson came off the board, the Eagles went wide receiver, and Howard picked the wrong one. It's okay. And of course, this is the last time that Spielman and Zimmer actually got along. But if you watch the video, you could sense there's already tension building because Spielman made a joke. It's like, oh, we don't need to draft defensive players. And Zimmer's like, I'm used to it. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. But, yes, the Vikings did trade for Jalen Reagor after 2 seasons in Philadelphia. It didn't quite work out. Frankly, I think the Vikings got themselves a bargain. Jalen is now the Vikings punt returner as well as a wide receiver 4, wanting some more. And ESPN, they did a really in-depth piece about how the trade went down with the Vikings and how this affects both teams, blah, blah, blah. And our guy, Kevin Seifert, who's not Carl Gerbschmidt, as well as Eagles writer Tim McManus did this up. And this really stood out. So they talked about all the offseason trades and moves like bringing in A.J. Brown, etc. Reagor, on the other hand, was never able to turn the corner. A promising rookie season went awry when he sustained a shoulder tear on the last day of training camp. He beat the projected recovery time of 3 to 4 weeks to be ready for opening day, only to suffer a UCL tear in his thumb week 2 against the Rams. He needed surgery and missed the next 5 games. The injuries and constant comparisons to Jefferson wore on him as he labored to establish himself in the league. Mentally, it beat him down, a source close to Reagor told ESPN. Big time. Jefferson watched from afar with sadness, in part because he was routinely tagged on social media posts from fans and media members that criticized Reagor. You can't blame him for getting picked by Philly, Jefferson said. All of the backlash that he was getting, the Philly fans mostly, I definitely felt bad for him at that time. He didn't ask for any of that. He is just being a player getting drafted to the team he got drafted to. I definitely hated it for him, but I'm glad he's on our team. Now, that's Jefferson. That's maturity beyond his years, man. And Jefferson and Jalen got to know each other during the draft process, the combine, etc. So the fact that, well, of course, social media, being the worst place ever, where Jefferson, like it said, was being tagged every time Jalen Reagor had a bad game or a drop or Jefferson blew up. Eagles fans always tagging. It's like, Howie, we could have Jefferson instead of Jalen. All that stuff. I mean, it certainly did wear on Jalen, and you've seen where you have a guy like Jalen Reagor who's used to being the man at TCU, and now coming to the Eagles, and now he's being crushed under the comparisons to Jefferson, and also he had these big-time expectations to be the savior wide receiver 1 in Philly, and then he had all these injuries he was trying to come back from, and then he had Philly fans just beating him down. It was a mess. It was rough, and you could see why the Eagles went in another direction. They drafted Devontae first round last season, then they traded for A.J. Brown, and then they shipped off Jalen. And for Eagles fans, they're still like, oh, Reagor was a bust. He's this, he's that, he's the other thing. But no. I just think that he needed to catch a breath. I think that a change of scenery was needed. And like I said, he does not have to be wide receiver 1 here at the Vikings. They go very 3 deep, very much so, with Jefferson, Thielen, and KJ. So frankly, whatever the Vikings get out of Jalen on offense is a bonus because he can fill that wide receiver 4 role, run some 9 routes, and take the top off the defense and go from there. Also, I mean, Jalen, the comparisons to Cordero, the comparisons to Percy Harvin, maybe the Vikings could and should use him like that. Just have Jalen line up wherever, hand him the ball a couple times a game. Explosiveness in the open field, that's what he is, because he's more of an athlete playing wide receiver than an athletic wide receiver, if that makes sense. And also, of course, contributing as a punt returner is going to be golden as well. But I look and respect what Jefferson said about Jalen. And the fact that he had empathy for a guy who was drafted in front of him, I think that makes a lot of sense. And just understanding the situation, because I mean, Reagor didn't ask for any of this. He didn't ask to be drafted by Philly. He didn't ask to be drafted ahead of Justin friggin' Jefferson, who's quickly becoming the wide receiver of his generation. And the fact that Jefferson understands all that, empathizes with it, and now that he's got the back of his new teammate, and I'll 100%. 100%. Justin Jefferson wants to put the stake in the heart of all the Eagles fans because of, well, A, the Eagles picked a wide receiver ahead of him, and B, his new guy, Jalen, who's now on his team because of what he went through because of Eagles fans. So it's just maturity, it's leadership. I love to see it from Justin friggin' Jefferson, man, and it's going to be a good game tonight. It's going to be a good game tonight. Plus, we're predicting first play of the game, play action, 75-yard touchdown, Kirk to Jalen, only offensive play of the game that he's in. It's going to happen, man. Absolutely. But your thoughts are our thoughts. Justin Jefferson has new teammates. Jalen Reagor's back as they head into Philly. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Once you put the work, put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.